Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia chapter 248. So, largely a lot of this chapter was from seeing Endeavor, Izuku, Bakugo, and Shoto performing hero work around the city. But one thing I did appreciate is how intermingled among that there were pretty much there were not only moments where we got to see the characters learning from each other, but the chapter also gave us a genuine look at pretty much Endeavor's pretty much current pretty much current methods and the way he acts as an instructor. Just that alone, from seeing Endeavor in the role as an instructor, just humanizes him so much. Because I don't mean to bring up the. Because in a lot of ways, I think we can all agree that every time we've seen Endeavor in the past, we've seen him in that obviously from negative light in the way of him brutalizing and beating Shoto during their lessons. But here, it definitely humanizes him as an instructor more, and we also get a sense for his extremely practical teaching methods, because through his extremely practical teaching methods, because it's pretty much through Endeavor's teaching methods that Endeavor is teaching like Izuku, Bakugo, and Shoto something that honestly what I see as one of the most important things they can learn, which is the vast gap the vast gap between being a student and being a hero, which is in many respects, which in many respects is something our main heroes have never really thought about. I mean, when you pretty much look back on even the most intense arcs of the series, when you look at the characters, they pretty much always and largely in some way or another that they basically even when they're placed in a real world situation like with the whole thing with pretty much Overhaul, they pretty much still in a lot of ways operated under the restrictions that have been placed under them as students. Even Izuku, for as much as he's done things that would be considered breaking the rules, Izuku himself has still operated in some sense within in the confines of those rules, and because of that, it's pretty much limited. It's basically limited it's pretty much limited their overall ability to adapt. Pretty much take what we saw with Bakugo here. He was basically complaining how his Quirk hasn't pretty much adapted to from something as simple as weather change, but pretty much Endeavor said it best himself. You can't expect in the real world, pretty much letting something like that limit you is going to mean the difference between pretty much saving someone and people dying. And he can, and that is, and yeah, Bakugo especially, he is if he wants to be a hero, that is the one thing he cannot do is limit himself. He really needs to say, okay, I'm gonna beat this, and I'm gonna beat this even if yeah. It just kind of shows overall how much for as much as Bakugo and Izuku have kind of stepped out of the norm, that in the way they've almost still kind of restricted themselves in many respects. So yeah. Now, on that note, the major lesson Endeavor teaches our three main heroes is to access the abilities of the quirks subconsciously, and there's a little bit of word salad there in the way that Endeavor explained it, but what essentially he's telling them is to train themselves until their abilities become more than become a little more than a reflex action, which is something I never really thought about before, but when you look back on pretty much how all the students, how everyone has used their quirks up to this point, there's pretty much always been an aspect to this where where every time one of the students has used their quirks, they've it's always been very brief and hard to notice at times, but there have been moments where a lot of students have more or less switched gears, as it were, and the students themselves, it's never been a thing where the quirk where they never where the students have never really thought of their quirks as a simple reflex. Like I think we've gotten a little bit of a lesson in that, but I don't know how. But it's never really been like a full on exploration of that. This is exploring like from which our hero, how Izuku is gonna need to is gonna be exploring how he uses quirk from here, and he's gonna start. He's gonna, both Bakugo and Izuku especially, and Shoto are all going to be from here. We're going to see them using Endeavor's lessons in order to adapt to any situation, and start seeing their quirks as more as just like a reflex. So yeah, I like how we're getting a little more exploration of that, because yeah, as I said, like a lot of the students up to this point, a lot of the students up to this point, looking back, have really just kind of used their have really just seen their, like, what's the best way I can explain it? The student, what they've done in the past is that a lot of the students have really just seen their quirk as like as some kind of a weapon or a tool, but they haven't really thought about using their quirk as an extension, like too much an extension of themselves. So yeah, it's good exploration of that as well. And yeah, with this chapter, let's talk about the last page where Fuyumi invites everyone to visit her. And I knew this was kind of coming just from the beginning of last week's chapter, but I wanted to see where it would go. Like in last week's chapter, there was of course a simple page where we see Fuyumi in a room, assuming like a classroom, and writing something down. And I was curious about that, but I left it alone in my last review because I wanted to see where it would go. And with this week, it is exploring it a little more, and it is and this week it is and this week I guess we got a little bit of an answer to that. And honestly, I think just from this, just from her conversation with basically Endeavor, I think we can all agree this is going to be more than just a family dinner date. Because thing is, and I don't know how many readers are aware of this, but when it comes to Fuyumi, like pretty much Fuyumi is actually a teacher. But the school she teaches at has largely been kept in the dark and largely unknown as to what school specifically she teaches at. So so it's one of those things where obviously from what we've seen so far, like Endeavor is doing like a bang up job in teaching Izuku, Bakugo, and Shoto about being a hero, but. And he's doing a good job at training all three of them, but I wouldn't be surprised if Fuyumi has pretty much got her basically own lesson plan for Izuku, Bakugo, and Shoto, and I'm more than interested in seeing how this plays out. Because yeah, I think one way or another we're definitely going to get an interesting answer to this. Get an interesting answer as to what's going on here. And yeah, pretty much Fuyumi, yeah, like now having said that, the one thing I'm hoping won't the one thing I'm hoping won't happen, or at least not completely, is that I hope that from Shotokoshi isn't setting this up as some kind of like basically all's pretty much well, I pretty much forgive you, Dad, kind of thing. Like, I hope that's not the direction he's going. That's the one thing that worries me about this. But like, I hope it's not going to be where Fuyumi starts like completely forgiving her father. And I don't think he'd go that route. But yeah, that is my one worry. But I think, like I said, I think the chapter is going to be that. I think from here that whatever Fuyumi's planning, we are going to be more focused on what pretty much lesson or whatever the pretty much Fuyumi has planned for like our three main leads. Um, Also, so yeah. If you've read the final page, though, you basically know that basically My Hero Academia is going on hiatus next week. But as weird as it's gonna sound, I'm always going to be supportive of moments like this because it reminds me there are still human beings behind the there are still human beings behind there are still human beings behind the pages of these epic and of these epic and entertaining stories. So yeah, I'm pretty much I don't have much to say. If basically Horikoshi needs if Horikoshi really pretty much needs to take a break with the story, again I'm all for that. But yeah guys, that's my review. If you've enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Mr. Crunchyroll. That and that, signing off. Later guys.